What are the essentials that you're going to need to be able to train or present anything? That's what this class is. So that's why we call it cram. We're not going to cram it down your throats. What we did is we took all the information, we said, what's the golden stuff that absolutely you have to teach anything? Most trainers, when they stand up and present, they say to themselves, all right, I got to ask a question, so I'll just put something up there with a question mark at the end and I'm golden. That's not enough. You got to know when to use these things. Where your feet point is who you're interested in. Where your shoulders point, that's who you're interested in. Notice I'm open to you right now. You see that? This shoulder's pointed there, which means everyone's involved here. This foot is pointed right at you. In the sweet spot, I'm going to point my feet like this, so everybody's involved. But when I'm on the board, I can't possibly do this and still write. So I got to do what I can, which is this. And I'll look at the trainer and go, did you see how they're all listening? Yeah. Was that an important thing I just said? No. But they all listened, didn't they? Yeah. And that's because of what I just did with my pace and my volume. The fact is, if I ask you a leading question, I'm not asking you to retrieve. You've never been taught this. That's the definition of a leading question. Instead, I'm asking you to create an answer. I'm asking you what you think the answer is. This is, by the way, why most trainers fail at this question. Because they ask questions that people can't possibly get right, or they ask questions that are so obvious it patronizes people. What do you think I should wear in the wintertime? I'm not answering your questions anymore, trainer. You're patronizing. What do you think the astronauts are thinking about during the first launch? I can't answer that. I have no idea what an astronaut does. You got to get a sweet spot. And that sweet spot is going to attack this brain right here. That's the brain that gets handled in this question. So we need to get our students set up for success so they can get it right. And the way we do it is step 2. We include the words, do you think? Humor. A lot of people, when I say rapport, they immediately say humor. Now, humor's good. I'm not going to suggest it's not. But it needs to be preceded by a number of things to work. She said, how do you handle that situation where it's still in scope, but they just keep pounding away at the question, and they keep asking question after question after question, and you want to look at the person and go, just be quiet and we'll move on. What you do there is you punt that. Because what's happening there is that person has got a need that nobody else has. Do you know how many people I've seen that, quote, needed tutors only because, and they didn't know this, they're a talk learner? And you know what's worse? People call them stupid. Isn't this terrible? Kids are called stupid because they can't learn something, and then they go to a tutor and they can learn it, and not because they're not smart, but because they got to what? They got to talk, and the tutor gets paid for that. Isn't that terrible? It's not terrible that they get paid. They're helping the person, but it's terrible that nobody recognizes this. This is a really cool, freeing thing for you to know. If you're teaching someone how to sail, Michael, first thing I'd do is figure out how they learn. I'm going to give you a trick in a second to do that.